And joining me right now from Washington, House Intelligence Committee member, Congressman Peter King of New York. Congressman, good to see you this morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good to see you, Maria.
What's your take on this? Look, Congressman, I understand that China steals our intellectual property. They force the transfer of technology onto Chinese companies, but they won't admit that they're doing that. Is tariffs the answer here? Is this going to be enough to actually change the Chinese behavior?
I think it's something the president has to do. Now, basically, I'm not into raising tariffs. I don't believe in using tariffs for a trade war. But in this case, where you do have the theft of technology, and also there's a lot of moving parts here. There's also, I think, China could be more putting more pressure on North Korea than they are. So I think this is a tool the president should use. I commend him for doing it. It's, again, not so much for economic reasons as for basically penalizing China for the theft of technology, and also, I think, to put more pressure on them so that they will lean on North Korea. They are a key part to this, and they've been on and off when it comes to North Korea.
Yeah, I mean, the only problem is that they won't admit that they're doing it. So they can buy more agricultural products and face these tariffs, but there's no evidence that they're going to stop stealing IP and stop the forced technology transfer. I agree with you about the president doing this. It's a smart move, but is he actually going to have an impact here?
Yeah, I think it will. I mean, I think, again, if the president keeps the pressure on, and nobody can keep the pressure on like Donald Trump, then I think it's probably the only real weapon we have right now, or certainly the most lethal weapon we have. And to me, as commander-in-chief, and I consider this part of almost a national security issue, the president has the right and the obligation to do what he's doing.
Congressman, let me switch gears, ask you about the IG report, the Inspector General finally releasing its report on the FBI's handling of the Clinton investigation. The watchdog finding former FBI agent Jim Comey was insubordinate. Former Attorney General Loretta Lynch erred in judgment and releasing new text messages between FBI lawyer Lisa Page and agent Peter Strzok. Look at this message. In a message dated August 8th, 2016, Page says, "Trump's not ever going to become president, right?" Peter Strzok replies, no, he's not. We'll stop it. But the IG found no evidence that prosecutors were affected by bias. Give me a break, Congressman. Come on.
Yeah, I agree. Now, even on that one, though, he did say that it was hard to disprove bias in that situation. Listen, when you look at this overall situation where there were so many favors given to Hillary Clinton, there was every presumption of doubt went toward her, and then you compare that to what happened with President Trump, where they started an investigation basically on no information at all, to launch an unprecedented investigation into a presidential campaign based on what some 28-year-olds said when he was in a bar one night, and Carter Page, who everything about him was public record already, and he had no access at all to President Trump, to base an investigation, start an investigation based on that. Now, Peter Strzok, the guy behind it, and we see his bias. Listen, if there's any smoking gun, it's that particular quote that you just gave where they said they'll stop it. But the whole overall accumulation of evidence shows that this thing was wrong and was rotten from the start throughout.
Well, I mean, how does Christopher Wray get up there and say there was no political bias that impacted this, when here you have an agent saying, we will stop this? How did they approach stopping it? What are the things that they did to stop it?
And again, that's all what has to be brought out. But to me, it's almost like the fruit of the poisonous tree. That's when this investigation began. Strzok was the guy behind the starting of this investigation. So there he is saying he's going to stop President Trump. I would say they were hoping to have the investigation, to raise enough issues, raise enough questions that would stop President Trump, if he was elected, from functioning as a president. It could lead to impeachment, the hearings, all of which we're seeing now. These hearings, the investigations going on, the special counsel, all of this, which really is impeding the president. So that in some ways, Peter Strzok has succeeded because this investigation.
Is there any accountability for Peter Strzok? I mean, we keep talking about his text. Let's not forget the last batch of texts that we looked at when he said we need an insurance policy should Donald Trump become president. And then he said Obama wants to know everything we're doing. So where's the accountability, sir?
Yeah, first of all, at least internally, to me, there should be a full investigation by their employee relations, and he should be dismissed. I don't see how you can keep someone like that in a position of law enforcement when he's so obviously biased in such a key case, such an important matter to the country. That's number one. Number two, I think there should be a full investigation of everything he did on this case to see whether or not he actually violated the law. Because to me, if you're hiding evidence, if you're abusing evidence, if you're distorting evidence, going after anyone, certainly the President of the United States or the candidate for President of the United States, that to me could well fall into the criminal area.
Let me get your take on this.
He should be gone from the FBI.
And he's not Not yet. I mean, with all of these texts, Congressman, you would have thought that would have happened already. Does he still have security clearance?
From my understanding, he does, which, again, is disgraceful.
I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah. And as far as
then Christopher Wray comes out with a straight face and says there was no political bias?
I guess he feels he has to defend the institution, but I think this has gone beyond that. If you really want to defend the institution, you get rid of these people and you say that 99% of the FBI agents are doing an outstanding job, and these people are disgracing the FBI. There's this handful of people, and they should be gone.
I mean, the American people know this, Congressman. I mean, it's pretty clear what went down. For him to come out with a straight face and say there was no political bias, I'm very surprised at Christopher Wray. I'll be honest with you. Let me get your take on this new report that the Deputy AG, Rod Rosenstein, threatened to subpoena records, emails from lawmakers and their staff of the House Intelligence Committee. Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan responded to the report on Twitter. Here's what Jordan writes. Rod Rosenstein threatened congressional staff. When the bully picks on your little brother, you have to respond. It's time for House leadership to stand up. Congressman, you're on the House Intelligence Committee. What's your take on this report?
Yeah, well, I've spoken to staff members who are at the meeting. They definitely feel they were threatened. There's no doubt about it in my mind. And also the fact is that Rosenstein, he was the one who signed the fourth FISA request, and there were real irregularities in the report. So in that request. So Rosenstein is the center of a lot of what we were investigating. For him to try to retaliate by abusing subpoena power is an abuse of his office. And again, I think right now you're going to see the Intelligence Committee will be subpoenaing Rosenstein, and if he doesn't answer the subpoena, then we have to move for contempt.
Well, it's very difficult because you've got an agency overseeing itself. And of course, Christopher Wray needs to defend his people. That's what he's doing. But how is it possible that you're just going to allow, I mean, your committee has oversight here. Can you allow the agency to police itself?
No, I think we have to exercise that oversight. We have to have the strong support of the Republican leadership to stand with us on this. You can't just have Devin Nunes and Bob Goodlatte going off on their own. They have to know that they have the support of the entire leadership behind them and the entire Republican conference. And that's why I'm standing with the Intelligence. I'm on the committee, and I fully support going after the Justice Department and the FBI to get all the information we have to have, not just for our sake, but to make sure we get the full record out there to show the abuses that went on. And also, if we allow the Justice Department and the FBI to stonewall us, to stiff-arm us now, that sets a terrible precedent for Congress, because it was Congress that established the Justice Department, established the FBI. They're responsible to us. We represent the American people. So this isn't for us personally. This is to protect the American people.
Yeah. Congressman, you make a lot of important points. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you,
will be watching the developments. Congressman Peter King joining us there. Thank you so much.